right, this is Jasmine Cain, and we're going to tell you guys a couple of pranks I'm actually scared to tell you right now.
I'm scared to hear them.
Okay, well, we don't really prank each other a lot, but every once in a while, you know, something is just too perfectly set up for it. This one happened on our way through Chicago on the way up here, like on Thursday, and we decided to go down to the hotel bar. Met this guy who was like there on business, and so we're the only two people in there that aren't attending an Indian wedding. So we're hanging out with this dude, and we're drinking bourbon. We're just trying to, and we got a little bit messed up.
We might have had a little bit too much.
Maybe had a lot of bourbon.
I didn't throw the McClellan over my shoulder this time.
Not this time, but Jeff was actually rooming with us, and we went down and we met this guy, and we were talking about, you know, favorite bands and whatever, and he says the first concert I ever, and this is before we told him Jeff was in our room, he said the first concert I ever went to was Cinderella when they opened for Bon Jovi. And I was like, well, you know that Jeff LaBar from Cinderella is here with us. He's actually in our room right now. And he's like, are you kidding? I said, yeah, he's passed out. He's unconscious, but he's in the room right now. And so he's like, oh my God, I'd love to meet him. I said, well, come on, let's go do a meet and greet. You won't even know it.
Oh my God.
So there is a picture now of this guy standing in front of your bed while you are asleep going,
This is the first I'm hearing it.
We just told him this.
yeah, but the picture is great.
It's awesome.
Oh my
great
God.
We should have saved the container of puke to give to him. Here you go.
We've got to stop talking about that.
Oh. Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
All right, you got one.
Yeah, this was actually, I have to be honest, it was in a different band, which is probably good, because if it happened today, it would probably be really bad. So I'm not going to name names, but essentially, the band I was in at the time stopped over in whatever town it was. We had like a layover a couple days or something like that. And we had friends in town that we would usually hang out with whenever we were there. So myself and a couple of the guys in the band all went to these people's house and just hanging out with them and getting kind of crazy and drunk and whatever else, all, you know. And a couple of them are actually hairdressers by trade. So like they're bleaching their hair or something like that. And this one guy was so hammered that he kept like sticking his fingers in the bleach and like starting to just rub it in his hair or whatever. So one of the girls says, hey, do you want me to like bleach a mohawk or something into your hair or whatever? And he's like, yeah, that's cool. So they bleach a mohawk in, and after that I convince him to put pink hair dye in, and I tell him like, oh, it's just like the final chemical stage of like bleaching it. You just got to put this stuff. Don't worry about it being pink. So he ends up dyeing his own hair pink out of this mohawk, but he doesn't realize that it was my idea. He thinks somebody else in the band did it. So to get revenge on him, when we ended up in, I think it was like California or something, we play this super swanky like casino, whatever it was, and to get him back, the bass player gives his room key to these three women who were like, from a distance, they're smoking hot women. I mean, dressed, you know, the nines, the dresses, the heels and everything, makeup, all that sort of stuff, except they're transvestites. And so the other guy who he thought was responsible for the pink mohawk thing was literally sitting in his hotel room in his underwear, just watching TV, minding his own business, and all of a sudden these three transvestites bust in the door because they got his room key, and they're totally like down wanting to party with him. And so I can only imagine what it looked like, you know, because this dude, he's a very sheltered individual at the time. And so he's just sitting there, and all of a sudden it's like, these three just walk you right in, yeah, and
dick in the face.
Although he didn't know they were dudes, though, right? He was excited.
No,
You can pretty much tell.
Yeah,
and if
once
you
got
can't,
close, you could tell.
I'll give you a
Hi,
lesson.
my name's Barbara.
I'm pretty sure you could figure it out.
But it was always the funniest thing, because actually I was the asshole that was responsible for the pink hair dye, but he completely thought it was the
And
other
now
dude.
he knows it, and your life is over.
Oh my
Whatever,
God.
worse things have happened, so that's why I said I'm not naming names.
Oh boy.
He knows who it is. He's
Oh, yeah.
watching this, and you know.
Oh yeah.
All right, Jeff, were you a prankster?
Oh, what I do? Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you have any
play
Pranksters?
Yeah, prank.
No, the only pranks
Well, you
that
stole people's
I think
car.
the
That was
pranks
kind
I
of a
already
prank.
told you about were me stealing people's cars. Anytime, you know, sometimes, you know, people would pull up to the venue, like right at our bus, or at our hotel room, like right, at the front door. He'd be like, "Hey, are you Jeff LaBar, Cinderella? Yeah." I'm like, "Holy shit, yeah!" And I fucking just jump in their car and go, just to see what they would do. I really thought I had.
How are you still alive?
I really thought I had license to kill back then, and I never got arrested for any of that shit. So basically, I did. So yeah, the only pranks I ever did were on fans. I don't believe I've ever done any pranks on my bandmates.
I've got one of my favorites.
Okay.
We were out with a band. I'm not going to say the band because you'll know who the bass player is. It was back when we were touring with Typo Negative and Cold Chamber and 2 other bands.
Oh, give all those details.
The other bands, yeah. I'm not going to say which one of the other 2 bands it was. So the bass player's got quite a bit of an ego. He's always stirring up shit and gets mad if anybody's like remotely looking at a girl that he was interested in backstage. So he's just always being a dick. So we're setting up one day and we decide to fucking set him in his place about being a huge dick. So we go to an adult store and we get this big, like 14-inch, this big around, big rubber dick. And we tie it, and we take the string, we put it over the light rig. So when they pull the light rig up during the day, everything was all set right over his little X where his microphone stand. We were setting it, and we would lower it down, boom, right on top of the X. We got it all set up, so night comes. Fucking, they're out on stage, we wait till the last couple of songs. And he's up there, and he's just rocking out, and the crowd's in front of him, and we just start going, and we hang the dick down above his head, and all the crowd's going, yeah, pointing, and he keeps thinking, oh, they're fucking digging me. They're digging me. Look at him. Oh, they're all paying attention. He's just like, yeah, he's getting into it. Get him the horns. Oh, yeah. And we, here it is again. Pull it back up, and he starts to you can finally see they're kind of looking at something. So we jerk it up, and he's kind of like looking around, nothing. Keeps back. Everybody's looking, and then finally at the end of the last song, when he comes up to do his screams at the end of the vocals, we just drop it, and it's just this fucking rubber dick going.
Oh my god! Oh, wow, I can't believe
That is horrible.
He literally had a knife backstage threatening to cut anybody that had
Oh my
anything to do
god.
with that.
Oh my god. We had a band drop ping pong balls on us. Like our last song, I think, was
That's
the end of a
awesome.
tour. They just dropped like 100,000 ping pong balls they had up in there. They just fucking dropped them on us. We're like, what the hell's going on here?
We used to come out in dresses with brooms in the middle of like Cold Chamber or Typo set. We just come out with push brooms, wearing dresses, and just sweep.
Is that where this started?
That's where it's kind of started, yeah. Me and
wearing?
MR.
Oh no! One time, this young band that was open for us in England, their last show with us, we had a waiter bring a table out in the middle of their stage while they were playing, last song, and we all like just sat down, and they served us food while they were playing, food and drinks.
We had some pranks going on when I was on the Easy Rider events tour with the sound company, SOS Sound at the time, and so like they always would say they were always trying to get us at the end of the show by running up and throwing water on me, which isn't really a great idea when you're holding on to like electronics and stuff. But
Right.
so to make sure that didn't happen, I would take my bass off and run out into the crowd and crowd dive, like stage
So that's where
dive
that started.
and crowd surf out in the middle, and then they'd stand there with their bucket of water with nobody to throw it on because I'm out in the middle of all the crowd there. So they got nothing. So after they did this a couple of times, I decided that it was time for me to try to get them back. So I called the monitor guy. I decided I was going to get him, and I went up they had this catwalk, like it was an outdoor show, but they had like a catwalk up above where all the equipment was, and I asked this one really hot girl who was wearing like chaps, she was wearing like a thong and chaps, and I was like, hey, go over to the sound guy and tell him that you're having problems like with the zipper stuck or something, ask him if he can help you out, and then lead him right over here, but you stand underneath the catwalk so you don't get wet. And I'm gonna stand up here above him and just douse him. So she walked over there and led him over there and was like, he was all down there, all excited, trying to get her zipper unstuck. And then I just like ice water, a whole big old like cooler full of it on top of him.
Oh my God.
That was fun.
Nice. That was fun.
That was fun.